Welcome to episode 32 of the Tri-State Hockey Podcast presented by Novig. As always, I'm your host, Jonny Lazarus, joined by my good friends, longtime NHL reporter Arthur Staple and Stanley Cup champion Mike Rupp. Going to do a strict voicemail episode today, so the callers are going to dictate what we talk about. Hope everyone enjoyed our interview with Mathew Darche the other day. We loved having him on, and hopefully we can work in some other guests as we get going here. We're working on some fun things for the playoffs, considering it'll be an Islanders show for the playoffs since it's the only team that's going to make it. But we got a very fun, very exciting episode today just to hear from you, our listeners, the people we love hearing from and the people who love listening to the show. So we're excited for today. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or we should get right into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get right into it. Our first caller. This is from Bruce.
Hi guys, this is Bruce. I'm a big Ranger fan. I have a question for all of you, but especially for Arthur. Something that really bothers me about Chris Drury, and it really even goes back to Glenn Sather, was the fact that I feel like they never talk to the fans when they have these press conferences. They have these press conferences and they have the media, but we have to read on Twitter what they're saying. And it just really irks me. I mean, Sather used to do it. I don't think JD and Gordon did it really. They were pretty good at it, talking to the fans, but Drury might be worse than Sather. And I was just wondering, especially asking Arthur about this, what he thinks about that. It just really bothers me that he does not talk to the fans, and I want to see what's going on. I want to hear him myself and not read it through Twitter. Thanks a lot, guys. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Bruce. Arthur, all you. Pretty fair complaint.
Yeah, I think, like you see, we talked to Mathew Darche and even Lou Lamoriello, when he was GM of the Islanders would do these season ticket holder events. You could ask questions of the GM. Sometimes coach would be there. That stuff goes back to Garth Snow. I think it's just a matter of them, the Islanders being kind of that, more mom and pop type operation for a long time where you got to engage with your fans. The Garden, the MSG corporation does not do that. They've not done that for decades, as far as I can tell. I think if you're also a Knicks fan, you certainly know that Leon Rose, who's the GM of the Knicks, hasn't even done a press conference, I think, in the last few years. And obviously that team does perfectly fine. So I think it's just more what the corporate structure and what the owners want rather than what Chris Drury wants. Would it be great if he did one of those season ticket holder type events and would answer questions? Yes, but it's just not, it's not in the cards when it comes to MSG. And as far as him being worse than Sather, worse than this, I don't know if that's true. I think talking to the media, and we certainly went over it, in the middle of this Devils season where media and fans were clamoring to hear from Tom Fitzgerald. It is nice to hear that, but they also don't have to tell you exactly what they're doing. It can come as a surprise to some people, even in my business, that executives do bend the truth and omit things when they're talking to the media. They can do the same when they're talking to the fans. It's not ideal, but I think this is more a case of Chris Drury is doing what the Garden would want him to do in this case, and not him hiding from the fans or hiding from anybody. I don't know what you guys think of that, but that's just my read on it.
Rupper, seems like you got something.
No, I mean, I find that I understand the complaint. I think fans, especially season ticket holders who've been for years, I don't know, you feel like you want to be at the front of the line there. And I understand that as far as gathering information about the team that you've supported and spent your money on. So I understand all those things. But like what Arthur said, this franchise hasn't really done it in a long time. And most, to be honest, don't. I think there's a few out there that are kind of interesting. And maybe that's the way it'll start evolving into. Like, for an example, we kind of joke around about it when some of these trades go down for specific teams, but in Vancouver, Patrick Allvin is the GM, but you never hear from Patrick Allvin. You hear from Jim Rutherford. He's kind of the spokesman for the team. And I just think that there could be times, sometimes there's just GMs, and I would put Chris Drury in this category. He's not a very social guy. That's not his MO. His job is to run the team behind the scenes, and that's what he's focused on. So I would wonder, not just speaking Rangers, just any team in general, when you have situations like that, is it better to have kind of someone that's going to be the spokesperson for the team, that's whether it's a president role or whatnot? You could argue the same thing kind of in Montreal. Just Jeff Gorton kind of, he goes out there and gets ahead of things and talks, and he's not the GM. So I don't know. Maybe it can go that way at some point. I understand it, but just some franchises just they don't do that. And you mentioned Lou Lamoriello. Like it was very structured in what he did, and I think that's the kind of model that you kind of have the New York Rangers under.
I think just because the world has changed a little bit, maybe fans' expectations have changed, right? Like what we saw from Matthew Darche the other day, like on our show, you don't see that from GMs typically,
No,
right? Like he was very open, friendly, fun, personable, and like that was a breath of fresh air. Another guy is like Billy Guerin, who goes on podcasts and shows, and he's fun. He's a guy's guy. He can shoot the shit, right? Like he can toss it around. Not every GM is like that. And for me, when we talked about Fitzy's press conference earlier this year, I was like, he didn't really tell us shit. So for the fans that want to hear from the GM, like you're not going to hear necessarily what you want to hear. It's all just, PR stuff, right? It's trying to get in the good graces with the fans, but it never really tells you any real information aside from like, a Guerin or Darche, right? Like they'll give you some fun stuff and some behind the scenes, but they're not going to give you what they're thinking or what moves are up their sleeve until after they actually do it. So for me, I've never been one to be like, I need to hear from the GM, but I get why fans would want to. And just from everything I've heard, I never actually have spoke to Chris Drury, so I don't know what he's like as a guy, but I hear from you two and other people who know him. And yeah, it just sounds like it's not his thing. But, maybe just because you see Billy Guerin and you see Darche and all these, fun loving GMs out there doing these things, you kind of want to see it from your own. So I get the complaint from Bruce there. I don't know if you guys have any final thing. We can go to the next one here.
I mean, he did write them a letter, Chris. So
I don't even think he wrote it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe he did. I don't know. But oh my God, that's got to be the most useless thing of this NHL season, that letter, huh? We don't need to get into that. But let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey guys, a little bit different question this week. I'm going to be asking a Rangers question. Since Panarin has been traded, Lafrenière has been a point per game player. And my husband has always said to me that he felt Lafrenière would be the most successful if he was the line driver and the one that constantly possessed the puck. That's his style of play. And I always argued with him, no way, no way, no way. Anytime I can put the Rangers down, I will. But it seems like he might have been onto something, because since Panarin's been traded, like I said, he's been a point per game player. And I caught the game last night against Philly, and he looked really good, really confident. And I'm just wondering if you guys would agree that maybe we'll see a 60-point, 70-point Lafrenière if
100.
he is the line driver and possesses the puck more. Thanks.
Okay, great voicemail from Ariel, known Islander fan, and congrats, Ariel, on your Mathew Barzal OT goal last night. She tweeted at me, he's not allergic to the slot. What a beauty that was at 3-on-3 last night. Do you guys mind if I take this quick? Like I've actually been,
take it. This is your guy.
I've been itching. Yeah, I've been itching to talk about this because I'm seeing all these takes online of like Lafrenière is a totally different player and he's so much better without Panarin. And some people are joking about it, other people aren't. But let me just make something clear here. I'm genuinely very happy for Alexis Lafrenière right now with how he's producing. I really am. But we got to add the context. These games are essentially preseason games right now with where the Rangers sit in the standings. And yes, Lafrenière has 13 points in his last 11 games since Panarin last played a game. But let's keep in mind, 9 of those 13 points are against the Flames, the Flyers, and the Leafs. Like 9 of the 13 are against those 3 teams. So while the Rangers are sitting here in the bottom of the Eastern Conference, I'm not going to throw a parade that Lafrenière is on a tear here. Like, yes, I'm happy for the human being. Like I said, of course. But listen, next year is year 7. At this point, I want to see a full 82 season of this, not a 2-week heater when the season's already lost, right? So yes, hopefully this is a step in the right direction, but the idea that he's suddenly a completely different player without Artemi Panarin, like, yeah, his role is bigger, but keep in mind, JT Miller is out of the lineup too. So that changes the way that Lafrenière has been deployed. Like JT, it's only been like 4 or 5 games, but Lafrenière is playing on a line with Gabe Perreault and Mika Zibanejad. And when you break down the last 4 goals he scored, it tells you a bigger story. The first one being that soft area play in the power play in Philadelphia. Mika finds him from the corner. He won times at home. Great shot. Then last night, first goal of the game, a backdoor tap in on the power play. Another great play by Mika. Then the next two goals, Gabe Perreault makes a sick pass. Lafrenière literally drags the puck into the empty net. And then his hat trick goal, another unreal saucer pass by Perreault, a cross-seam slot pass, and Lafrenière hammers it home with a one-timer. So while he's finishing, let's give credit where it's due. It's the line mates that are doing a lot of the work here also. Mika and Gabe Perreault are setting him up for unbelievable opportunities. So it's not like overnight he just became this different player. Then, I'll say it, like I'll give Lafrenière credit. Like he's getting to the right spots, and that's the part I like. He's playing inside, getting to the scoring areas, and finishing the pucks when he gets them. So that's what we need to see more of. We need to see a guy who plays on the inside, because when he played with Panarin, who's one of the best playmakers in the league, Lafrenière at times deferred to him. And now he's playing with a guy like Perreault, another elite playmaker like Panarin, but Perreault's a rookie, so Perreault might defer to Lafrenière a little bit more, and that changes the dynamic. So yes, that could benefit Lafrenière in the long run because he's playing with someone as smart and as skilled as Perreault who's looking to set him up, and that could unlock maybe some more offense. But I'm not going to celebrate this like hot streak in March when they're in dead last in the Eastern Conference. You got to show me this for a full season, and then we're having a different conversation. I know I ranted, but like I've been dying. I'm the biggest Lafrenière kind of like homer there is, I feel like. And even I'm not like, oh my God, like he's a different, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that fair?
Yeah. Tell us how you really feel, Johnny. I didn't get any emotion in that one. No, I totally understand. And, to me, the results are great, but they're not what you're looking for here. You're looking for a guy who recognizes that it's time to shit or get off the pot. Even though these games don't matter, you still have to show that you care. And if there's been plenty of pluses and minuses with Lafrenière, but I think the give a shit meter has always been in question with him, right? Since he's been in the NHL, he doesn't always, personalities are different, but he doesn't always act like he knows the importance of the moment that he's in, the position that he's in, the way that he could kind of step to the front with his team. And like you said, year 7 is coming up. Years 5 and 6 have been total disasters. He's not going anywhere seemingly. If he doesn't want to go anywhere, now's the time. And so you want to see him take charge and be aggressive. And if he had 2 points instead of 13, you'd still want to see what that part of it, because again, the results don't really matter. Maybe they help him mentally when you see the numbers going up, but ultimately they're not going anywhere no matter how many games they win the rest of the way here. And to me, the secondary thing is show some chemistry. If he's going to continue on with Trocheck and Panarin's not there, let's say Cooley's there, that didn't seem to work out very well initially. And so this line was put together and be in the right spots. Gabe Perreault to me is one of the nicest eye-opening moments. Since the letter, this kid, seemed to kind of, he certainly showed he was too good for the AHL, but really didn't find his place in that top 6, because the Rangers top 6, even though it's not performing, is crowded because of who those guys are, name recognition. They get rid of Panarin. Maybe they were thinking about getting rid of Trocheck. Like you said, Miller's hurt. So here's Perreault's opportunity. And if you're Alexis Lafrenière, you want to show, I'll ride with this guy now because he's the future of the team. And if Lafrenière can find some chemistry with him and with Mika, who's also probably not going to go anywhere, and if that's your top line when training camp opens next season, then if you're Alexis Lafrenière, that's a good place to be. And maybe that's a starting point for having the kind of season that he needs to have post letter, post mess, post all of it to show that he cares about being a Ranger and he cares about being a top producer here. So again, I agree with you 100%, Johnny, on the numbers don't really mean much, but you're seeing some attitude things and you're seeing some chemistry things that I think could be important down the road.
Mm-hmm. In that same vein, I agree with what you said. I'm not going to all of a sudden say, oh, okay, this is the Alexis Lafrenière we thought that he was going to be when they drafted him first overall. I will say, if we're going to look at this garbage time as you can't take it fully to the bank, then you got to do it in the same standpoint when guys don't show up. And if he wasn't showing up right now, it would be the sky is falling, get rid of this guy, punt him to the moon. So
great point.
You can only take care of what you can take care of. And he's doing it right now. And I'll tell you what, as I've been clear on here before too, as far as like I root for all the teams I played for, and so like there's a vested interest when I watch Ranger games as well, and with Perreault and Laf playing well, I'm excited watching them right now.
I agree.
And like I'm talking the last handful of games because prior to that it was dreadful.
Yeah.
It was a struggle. I mean, I do it for my job is at NHL Network, but I'm not doing it out of joy at all. I would prefer not to watch another Rangers game next year. But when these kids are playing like that,
Yeah.
now I'm excited. I'm like, oh, here we go. And you start seeing them come into their own. The one thing I would throw out there, and I agree with you, though, that doesn't mean all the world is perfect, because what Arthur said is bang on. There's times where you're looking at him like, is he playing in this game? Is he interested in playing? He's had those moments. So, again, take care of what's in front of you. He's handling it well. Gabe Perreault is as well. But I also wonder how much, and maybe hindsight being 2020, dating back a couple years, you should have force-fed him power play one time. And that was something that they never did, various coaches.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is you got a first overall pick who Ariel, the message was perfect from her husband. He's a play driver. He's been a play driver all the way up to 18 when he gets drafted. And then you come to the NHL and you're a complimentary forward that's not only not driving plays, you're not even playing a position to drive plays. Like in junior hockey, you could drive offense from a wing. The NHL is really hard to do that. That's why Panarin, Kucherov, these guys Rantanen are so special. Pasta, thank you. They could drive it from the wing. Like it's hard. Center ice is that position that naturally comes with driving offense. So he's trying to figure all this stuff out. It would have been nice to give him some free touches. And it doesn't mean just punt him out there on the power play if he's struggling. But I felt like there's a number of years that you never really saw him get reps now and again. But it was like there was such a short leash on him that now we're seeing it. Panarin's gone, like he's there. And now all of a sudden he's starting to feel that game again. So I think this is all great stuff. It makes it exciting to watch Ranger games finally.
Yeah, and that power play thing I think is a larger conversation, which maybe we'll save for a different day. Like I don't want to get into a whole his full career, but it's a great point, Rupper. And again, like I didn't want to sound like I was taking any credit away. I'm happy he's doing it, but
you said it well.
Celebrating, yeah.
I mean, you're not going to sit there and crown anybody right now.
No,
I mean that's why we haven't crowned the Buffalo Sabres in the years past, because they're dominant this time of year. That's why it's different this year, because they started this in December. They didn't start it in March.
And one person I want to shout out, Lydia Perner, who does a great job, I think, for WFU.
FUV, yeah.
FUV, sorry, yes. She asked the question to Gabe last night if Perreault and Lafrenière are actually speaking French to each other, like on the ice. And that's a nice little thing that I didn't even think of, because Gabe obviously has the French background as well. So for Gabe to have that like level of comfort, and we know how guys in the locker room always speak their native tongue, to teammates and stuff. And Rupper, I'm sure you hated it. Like I hated it when I played with Russian guys and they'd speak in Russian. I'm like, all right, who you shit talking now, guys? Nikita, I know you're shit talking me if you're talking Russian in front of my face. But I think it's awesome that they had that little blend there. And Gabe had a big smile when Lydia asked that question. So it's nice that Gabe and Lafrenière are forming this little connection that we're seeing. And Mika's a big part of it too. Mika's been playing great hockey all year. So nice to see those three blend together. And I mean, I would think Mike Sullivan keeps those three together the rest of the year when JT comes back.
So.
But you never know. Yeah. All right. So we don't have a Devils voicemail, but we do want to give some love to the Devils. Rupper, I know there was one tweet from Mike Morial that we wanted to bring up. Sheldon Keefe talking about Jack Hughes and how he's spoken up in front of the media. Ever since just returning from the Olympics, Jack has just seemed like a different person. I can read it if you want me to, Rupper. I don't know if you wanted to talk about it first, or I can just read this off the screen.
No,
I
go ahead.
Want to follow your lead here. So this is what Sheldon Keefe said. Again, credit to Mike Morial. So there's been a significant increase in Jack speaking up both on the bench and in the locker room since his return from the Olympics. So I think just his experience over there, not just his individual success and his iconic moment that he had, but also just being a part of a team that won a championship. I'm sure being in that room and observing the different moments where different players speak up and lead the way, to me, he's come back and really taken charge of a lot of different areas for our team. So that's big, and that's what you want. As a coach, That's why those events are so great. Best on best. You're surrounded by so many different leaders, so many different talents, and I think you can't help but grow and get better if you're paying attention. And clearly Jack was. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, from what we've seen since Jack's return, like again, he's just seemed more mature. And that was evident in his hat-trick performance on Saturday against the Rangers at the Rock. And Rupper, I know you definitely wanted to talk about that, so I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, so I thought that was really great job by Mike there, and what Sheldon said. Great job by Sheldon Keefe, and kind of letting everybody in on the inside here and what Jack's been doing. It's awesome, and that's leadership, and we're seeing that now. So again, just not to go back and harp on anything in the past, but like these are the things that he's got to learn and continue to push with, and it's awesome that he's doing it right now, and you can see the different vibes around the team right now and the way they're playing the game. I mean, we knew that even before this, as far as how important Jack Hughes is for this team. I mean, look at the numbers over the years, how different they are when he's not available. So I thought that was cool. And this is the one thing, it's probably just like you said before, Johnny, maybe a bigger conversation. The one issue, I don't know if issue is the right way of saying it. The one concern I have with the national team developmental program is you get these elite talent. We're seeing USA hockey, and that's a huge reason why they just won Olympic gold, and that they've been able to close that gap in talent over the years with like Canada. Those players, some of them, they don't play for anything team-oriented wise. You're not winning championships. You're in an open schedule. Like, these are concerns of mine, because I think you have to go through the process of winning to learn how to win and how to bring that to the next level. That's why when you have some of those players branch off and play college hockey for a year, they get into, all right, it's our conference game. This is, or whatever the circumstances are, going to junior hockey and trying to win a title. Like, those things matter, because the NHL is the best league in the world. And if you haven't learned how to win, doesn't mean winning, because you're going to win hockey games, win championships, the sacrifices it takes individually, collectively, as a group. Those are big things that I've brought up before with Austin Matthews. Like, he hasn't had those moments. So I think this Olympic gold was huge for a lot of those players, because it was the first time in a lot of ways. I mean, you can go back to, you can say world championships too. Those are huge moments, but a lot of those guys haven't played for a true championship since like World Juniors, or even prior to that, like in the regular season, it didn't have that. So this was a massive thing for hockey, USA hockey. We know all of that, but it's great to hear that Jack's brought that back here, and he's kind of dragging this team along, speaking up and understanding how important that role is for him to bring back his winning experiences.
Yeah, I even think of Connor McDavid's Players Tribune article, Rupper, when he said, like, winning 4 nations, even though, it wasn't a gold medal or whatever. That was the last time I've won. That's the first time I've won something in 9-10 years. Like,
yeah,
you kind of forget.
Think about it,
yeah.
But you think about it too, like, Connor won OHL championships. He went to Memorial Cup. Like,
I thought he
had
lost.
those moments back then. What's that?
Did he lose? I don't think he won. I thought he lost.
He didn't win a Mem Cup, but he won OHL.
He won OHL. Got it. Okay.
And to go to the Memorial Cup. And so you have like, he had those experiences. So this is a guy that has had that. So like, when you're going back, like, I use Austin Matthews as an example. Like, his World Junior years, they didn't win. So you know what I mean? Like, to go back, to go back when Austin Matthews won a league championship of some degree. I don't know. You'd have to. I don't know all the ins and outs of everywhere he's played, but it's been a long time. So that's why it was huge for him as well. Like, he got to experience that with these guys and all that good stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's you nailed it. Like, Connor McDavid recognized that these guys, it's almost like, how do you play like without having that, you know what I mean? Or like, then it just becomes, I don't know. It's hard for me to fathom, but these guys have obviously become great players.
Yeah.
It's really nice to see them finally get a championship.
Not everyone gets the chance to win a cup in their first year, huh, Arthur?
It's true. It's true. And I think with Jack, and we've dinged him here just for what's gone on this season, whether it was the kind of the throwaway comment that he had about the fans before he went to the Olympics or things like that. And it is a little bit, I think, it's a part of that laugh conversation too, where, you know, these younger guys, especially super talented guys, very emotional. You know, there's a lot of vibes that go into what they do. And I think it's especially true for Jack and the downs that he's had in his NHL career because of injury and the lack of success the Devils have had since he's been there. It weighs on you. And I imagine, like we're saying, you're not only winning the championship, but like Sheldon said, you are around guys that have won. You're around guys that are the type of veterans in this league that maybe the Devils haven't really had in their room, who can all be together and talk about what you have to do to be successful to win. And if Jack has taken that to heart and he's saying, what I need to do right now when the games don't matter is to start laying that foundation and being the guy who speaks up and being a leader, whether, you know, doing interviews, you know, the gold medal USA interviews are going to dry up soon if they haven't already yet. To see him carry it over once that becomes something that's more in the past and more history, and the present is he is still a gold medal winning goal scorer and a champion, but also he's a New Jersey Devil and they're not in the same spot. If he has the same attitude that he brought to celebrating that to every day with the Devils, it's that consistency. It's just the same as it is on the ice. And I think for a young guy, whether they're a first overall pick or Mr. Irrelevant or whatever, it's a learning process. And if he can marry that attitude, that personality situation of always being a leader, being a guy like Sid or like Connor McDavid or like Matthew Tkachuk or whoever, with the way that he plays, then yeah, the Devils are going to benefit. And if there are seismic changes, front office, coach, you know, going into the summer, you want that consistency from him. You want a guy who's your best player who says, of course I want to be here. Like, I want to lead this team out of whatever we're in. It's going to go a long way with whoever's in charge to come, or even if they make no changes. That's a big change to me. And I think it's going to benefit them for sure.
So,
remember that conversation?
Johnny,
sorry. Yeah.
No, just one last thing on that too with Jack, and this, we knew this before the Olympics. He's a gamer. And when in the big moments, he elevates. And it's not, you can't just, to be a great player like him, you can look across the league. Some guys kind of struggle with that, finding another gear, finding another level. It comes easier for guys that have bigger size, because that's an element you can lean into in some regards. With Jack, I mean, Jack is, we remember that playoff series. We talk about that often against the Rangers, but just even over the weekend, just that Rangers game. And it's like, that's the first matchup of the season between these two teams. And regardless of where the teams are at, I played it on both sides. I was on the Devils, I was on the Rangers. It just feels different. It feels different on a weekend when you play those games. It feels different, like, you know, organizationally, that you'll really build some equity. Not that Jack needs any more equity with the group, but like, you'll be able to, these mean a lot. It means a lot to management, to your coaches, your teammates, everything. Fan base. Jack has 33 points in 30 games against the Rangers combined in his career. And he's got 19 goals in 30 games.
Crazy.
So I like, we know that he steps up his game. We saw it at the Olympics, how he stepped up his game. I think that one missing ingredient was always, can he drag other people to step up their game too? Bringing this full circle, what Mike Morial reported, it sounds like he's starting to drag the guys along. And that's the missing ingredient here. So we'll see how this goes, because the next day was a little bit of a dud for the Devs. But they stepped up in that big game, and we'll see how they finish the season out.
Well, remember that conversation we had, like, must have been a couple months ago. I asked you guys, like, what makes a player a veteran? What considers them a veteran? I think we kind of flirted with, like, is it 3 years? Is it 500 games? And we kind of talked about Jack, right? Like, we were saying, like, while Jack is the leader, he doesn't necessarily have those, like, veteran qualities. And maybe this now kind of turns him in or transforms him into that veteran that maybe the Devils just needed him to be. So that's kind of what it seems like, right?
It's a fascinating point to look at too, because see, you said something there, and this is the one kind of, I guess, issue I have, old man yelling at the clouds in the NHL now, with you said Jack was a leader. He's been a leader, and I'm sure he is, and the guys look up to him in the room. But like the NHL now, and I'm not talking about Jack Hughes, I'm talking about in general.
Mm-hmm.
We start seeing captaincies put on sweaters younger and younger and younger and younger. I mean, you think back in time, like Gabe Landeskog was very, very young.
19.
You start going to some of these, but like you saw Gabe was unique and different. Like he was like he was a leader. You could just listen to him speak. The problem I have with NHL teams is sometimes that you're just going to be, that's our best player. So he's our leader offensively. Yeah. That doesn't mean he's your leader. He's not the leader of men, going back to that Connor McDavid article, which I thought was fabulous. The way he kind of talked about that, but maybe now Jack's getting that, and he's only 24. He's 24 years old. Yeah. Like he's a kid still in a lot of regards. And so like he's
411 games. Like
he's getting it now, but to just say and assume that Jack's been a leader for the last however many years, and you could say that about a bunch of guys in the league. Sometimes you got to learn how to lead other players. Leading offensively is not a leader. Jack's starting to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah. Any final thoughts here before we go into Islanders to round out today's show? I think we got a bunch of Islander voicemails, a lot of happy callers and maybe some premature callers. I think we had one caller who dialed in when it was 3-0 last night in St. Louis. So love to hear that one.
We back, Vic?
We yeah, premature webaculation. It's the funniest thing ever. Vic, let's do it. This is from Brian.
I apologize. This is a long one. This is Brian from Levittown. I really enjoyed watching you guys interview Matthew Darche. I'm not really sure why he sees so much like hatred, especially after the deadline. Isles Twitter that you guys talked about kind of went crazy with, blaming him and for not going out and getting the big name or whatever. But I feel like it's because Schaefer has given us a false sense of what prospects can become quickly. And I think that they think that, you see a guy like Pageau getting re-signed, you see bringing a guy like Schenn, you see like all these moves, and it's like, oh, well, we're getting old again, and we should be going younger, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. And it's like, Schaefer's a generational talent. Doesn't mean that Yzerman's going to come up and be that guy yet. Doesn't mean Nelson's coming up to be that guy yet. Doesn't mean that Aitchison and Eklund are going to come over and be those guys. Like, they're not going to be in the NHL next year, more than likely. But I think that Schaefer has given just, unrealistic expectations. So I just think that, yeah, like I think you guys did a great job with him. I'm very happy with the job he's doing. I don't know if he's responsible. Arthur, you pointed out the fact that like they're so open now as an organization. It's different than Lou, and having that YouTube thing and everything. It's just it's great to be an Islander fan right now, and I really appreciate you guys. I love the podcast. Keep up the great work. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Arthur, I don't know if there was necessarily a question there, but good. I think I agree with what he said.
Yeah, I think Brian's point was he doesn't get why people are down. We're kind of down on the Islanders deadline. Trading a first for Braden Schenn when they could have maybe paid a little bit more and gotten a Jordan Kyrou or done something a little different. Get more of a scorer, get somebody a little younger, which is something we've been advocating for a while. And I totally get what he's saying, that really none of these prospects that they've got are necessarily going to be impact guys next season. You can never guess on a 19, 20-year-old and Keishon Aitchison, who's almost up to 30 goals, I think, in the O this year as a defenseman, which is insane. But, he's a lefty defenseman. Even if he comes in and wows everybody in training camp, he's at best their second pair, third pair guy, and he's never getting power play one on this team because that spot is locked up for the next 20 years. They've got Victor Eklund, who's a good young player playing in the Swedish hockey league, who may come over, but also again, 19, 20 years old. Got these college guys that are going to come up. None of them really project out as like a massive high impact right away type guy. So yes, I agree with that. I think, like anything, Isles Twitter is like every other hockey team Twitter. They go a little over the top. The concern, which is valid concern, is that you really, you trade for a guy with 2 years left on his deal. They extend JG Pageau for 3 more years. You've really locked in your group, especially down the middle. That Anders Lee is a pending UFA. We talked about him with Matthew Darche. there's certainly a chance that he could come back on a short-term deal. And if that happens, you really not got anybody that you can just easily swap out. Everybody's signed. Everybody, you can certainly make some trades, and whether it's an Anthony Duclair who's not regularly in lineup, Max Shabanov, I guess, is a restricted free agent. Those are depth pieces. You're looking at. You've locked yourself in now to a group that's older. I think I saw someone, as far as the NHL rosters go, someone posted on X, they're the fourth oldest team in the league. And that's, considering where they were coming into the season, it's probably not where you want to be. You don't want to be trending in an older direction, especially guys with turn. So I get the concern. I don't get the hate, because I think Matthew Darche, certainly, as he said to us many times, didn't expect to be in this position. He wanted to reward the guys. He tried not to do too many roster altering moves, certainly not sacrificing any prospects. So I think, and we saw it last night, they kind of, right now, they are what they are. They should be a lot better defensively. They've got Ilya Sorokin, even though when he's given up 3 a night, is still a lights out goalie and gives them a chance to win. And they're just the pesky Isles, man. They come back, and they score both ends of that 4-minute power play last night. 10-0 in games that end in overtime. These numbers defy explanation, and it all adds up to a team that's having a fun run. And I don't know what they're going to look like next year, but my concern, and that some fans share that concern, is that when you trade for a 33, 34-year-old guy with term, you're not really allowing yourself the room to make some changes in the offseason. So I get it. I don't know if I agree with the hate, like Brian said, but I get the concern.
Yeah, I don't really agree with the hate either. And I guess my question would be, looking at the Islanders draft picks over the next few years and knowing that the prospect pool they have is pretty strong, are these picks trade chips, or do they plan on using them? I think that's maybe something that we didn't ask Darche. I probably wouldn't have answered, honestly, if we asked him that question straight up. I don't know if he would have given us the honest answer, just because he probably doesn't know yet. It's a day at a time thing. But giving up a first-round pick for Braden Schenn, the Islanders still have their first-round picks in the next 3 years. It's not like it's, sacrificing a ton, like you mentioned, Arthur. So I feel like these picks they do have are trade chips. I don't know if you guys feel
I mean, I agree with you there. I'll kick it over to Rupper in a minute, just to sort of where they are. But yeah, I think the mandate after they went to the back-to-back conference finals, during the pandemic years under Lou, was, we're going to keep doing this level. And anybody, like Rupper knows, anybody that knows Lou or played for him knows that when he has a chance to go for it, he's going for it. Matthew Darche comes from Tampa, Julien Brisebois, another guy that, and obviously they've had tons of success. So when they have a chance to go for it, they go for it. So I think he's got that mentality. And I think you're right. If they go into June and they can take one of their prospects and their own first, which could be 19, 20, maybe somewhere in that range, you could get a pretty decent roster, young rostered forward out of that. You could make that change that I think everybody wanted them to make before this deadline. So it's not hopeless for them. It's not set in stone, but I think if you don't find that trade, and certainly we saw at the deadline, a lot of teams didn't find that trade that they wanted to make to kind of get themselves over the top this season. If you can't find it because the dynamics in the league are just changing with the cap going up and teams wanting to keep their own guys a lot longer maybe than they would have, then you are sitting with a team that's a year older, that's already pretty old, and you've got 19-year-old Mathew Schaefer who's going to win a Calder Trophy, and you've got Ilya Sorokin maybe coming off of Vezina, and maybe you got a team that went to the second or third round. You want to keep pushing. You want to be able to advance the ball and get better. And I don't know that they're in a position, without making a big trade, if they'll get better from what they've got now.
Mm-hmm. I got a little chuckle out of Barzy dog walk in Cairo. I'm just saying, just to bring this all the way
He showed
around.
that he doesn't fit on the island, I guess.
Yeah, he's like, it's not
what a goal.
I mean, what a play. But I think all that, I thought it was really interesting when Matthew Darche said this, and it goes back to what you guys are talking about. I guess I never viewed it that way, where there's roster, the age specific. I think you have to have your roster complement each other pretty well. But to your point, this is an older roster. So it was interesting listening to Matthew Darche. I think the knee jerk for a lot of people would be like, oh, we need to get younger. But it's kind of the opposite approach that they have, where this is the window we have. It's not that you want to get older. You got to, we got to do what's best for us. You got to get some guarantees in what you're getting as a player too. So I think that had something to do with the Schenn move. It's pretty predictable kind of what kind of player he's going to be and has been in his career, because he has been around a long time. He has won. He is a captain. So I just found that pretty interesting, because I think a lot of times you can, almost to the same degree where we talked about the Pittsburgh Penguins in the past, when they go out and they get Sam Girard, Pittsburgh can't defend. Like they are a bad defending team, but they're like, oh, we generate so much offense. Let's get another puck moving defenseman that could add some more offense in our depth pair. So it's like almost recognizing this is who we are right now at the stage of the game. Let's lean into that a little bit more. I thought that was pretty interesting. I think that's a good move because of that. And then it's almost like once that core ages out, now you're talking, Mathew Schaefer at 20, 21. Now you're starting to get that next regime going. So I don't know. It was an interesting way that he kind of broke it down. It makes a lot of sense when I think about it.
Mm-hmm. Let's get into our next voicemail. I think we have a few from Islanders fans. So only got like 20 more minutes left in today's show. So we got to get as many as we can.
Hey guys, Chris from Hicksville. Love the show. Love the episode yesterday with Mathew Darche. In terms of the Islanders trade deadline, the one thing I've kind of read a little bit online is this concern about, hey, we're adding another vet. We trade for Schenn, who signed for a couple more years. We extend Pageau for 3 years. What is that? Is that going to put hamstrings when our young players in the system are ready to come up? And I don't really think it will. If you go by, for instance, the Hockey News, which within the last week or so came out with their Future Watch issue, they still have Cole Eisman and Danny Nelson, I think both who are like 20 and 21, a couple of years away. So that kind of works with the timeline. And while Victor Eklund will be here next year, by all accounts, you can't count on him being ready at the start of the season. I would say he's most likely, mid-season if he's ready. And the best players are going to play. So I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry about that. Plus, Palmieri, Cizikas, and Palat all are on the final year of their deals after next year. So Islander fans, don't fret. There's plenty of room for the kids coming. Thanks.
Oh, kind of an abrupt ending there. Arthur? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I just, the other part too is I think some of the fans' confusion, I guess, and I felt it a little bit too initially. You see the trade for Schenn, and you're like, all right, I was expecting maybe Kyrou. If you're a fan, you're hoping for Robert Thomas. Obviously, none of that got very far since he said he wasn't asked to waive his no trade. And you end up with Schenn. Great. It's basically a first and a low-level prospect for Schenn. That's a fair price to pay. You trade a third to get rid of Jonathan Drouin's contract for next year, also fair. And then you're wondering, okay, I got like the little speech bubble outside of my head as I'm like sitting and looking at that, thinking like, all right, well, this is the guy who's going to replace JG Pageau, because they're not trading JG Pageau today, but they're also not going to extend him because you've got a guy in Schenn who's been a 2C in St. Louis, probably a 3C going forward with his age. And then Cal Ritchie can kind of slot in as the 2C. And then, like I said, the bubble is still processing my thought. And then they announced that Pageau has been extended. So I think maybe that's a little duplication. And what Mathew Darche said, exactly true. You see the market for centers and you say, it's an older group. I'd rather have Bo Horvat, Schenn, Pageau, and Casey Cizikas down the middle, locked up, all guys over 30, but we know what we get with them, all guys who can win faceoffs. And then you've got Barzal and you've got Cal Ritchie to slot in when you need to as guys who have been centers but are now playing the wing. That all makes sense. But I feel like, yes, you've got these prospects, and yes, you're waiting for them to come, and they will hopefully slot in. It doesn't usually work out that way, that when all those guys' contracts are up in a couple of years, that all these prospects will be ready all at once to like ... fill in all these spaces where the veterans are. It doesn't really go that way. But you just, again, wonder if there's going to be enough roster and cap flexibility this offseason, depending on what they do this year. If they end up going to the conference final, maybe ownership tells Matthew Darche, tear up your plan. We're going to go out and get Alex Tuck, or we're going to go out and get somebody, because of the way that they changed their plan from what Mathew Schaefer was able to do from the beginning of the season. So where they sit now, where you look at them, and I think also, and you need Braden Schenn needs more than a game or two to get acclimated. I get that. But when you watch them play half of that game last night, they're just not good enough defensively in their own end. Structured offense from the opposing team is difficult for them. They're pretty good against the rush. And they still just don't generate enough. They're really opportunistic, and you see them coming up with ways to score goals. But I think the kind of the top-down 10,000-foot view of that Islander team is trading for Braden Schenn and extending JG Pageau going to make them a more potent offense? Probably not. So if that's your main concern, it's probably a concern that's still going to be there when the offseason comes.
I mean, to your point about defending in their own end, I think it was the Snuggerud goal last night. Robert Thomas has like 3 guys on his back, and Snuggerud's just wide open on the back door by himself. Yeah, that was tough.
4-on-1 wasn't great either.
No.
Yeah, there's some tough breakdowns of that one. Hey, it's so just, I don't know, just kind of looking at it. It's interesting looking at the Pageau deal. So he's got a full no move in the first 2 years of it.
Yeah, that's a tough one too.
Last year. So now all of a sudden I'm sitting here, and when you look, I didn't go through every single guys, but if we're going to call on one team, we're going to call on another.
I've got it in front of me, Rupper, if you want it.
The Devils have had a ton of no move clauses. We saw what that did for them this year, because when I'm hearing that great call and the questions asked, I was thinking in my head, the way the NHL works, when the kids are ready, you make room for them. You do whatever you can, move bodies out. If it's a veteran player, whatever it is, when the kid's ready, you put it in. I would expect that to be the situation. Now I'm looking quite a lot of modified no trade clauses. So I haven't looked at every single one to see what year it changes possibly, but there is a lot of terms for these players on the Islanders. So we'll see if that comes up and bites them at some point.
Yep. I'm looking at it right now. There are not many guys on this roster who don't have any protection.
And you think about, the Islander fans are very excited that all 3 guys that they traded for had to waive their no trades or no moves or partial no trades to come to the Islanders, which is a compliment to what the Islanders are building. Yep. Great. However, you would have to get them to waive again to get rid of them. They don't automatically go away once you waive it the one time. So all 3 of those guys, I mean, Carson Soucy is going to be a UFA. So if they don't re-sign him, that's different. But Palat, Schenn, now Pageau, you're starting to look at some guys that are hitting that age wall. They're middle 6 guys, and do you get more effective when you get past 34 and 35? Rupper, I'm going to say probably not. But so we'll
that
see.
Should be a rule, though. If you waive once, that it should just disappear.
I totally disagree. It's got to be every time. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on.
Different conversation. All right. Next voicemail. Let's try to fit it all if we can. This is from Eric.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Eric here. Great job on the Darche interview and the live event. Really enjoyed your guys' stuff. But I know the vibes are pretty high on the Islanders side of things right now, but I have a bit of a hot take that I want to run past you guys. So the Islanders' power play has been terrible for years now, no matter the coaches, the personnel. But one of the things when I watch the Islanders' power plays versus other teams is other teams move the puck really, really quickly. So the best power plays I think of, even the Sharks last against the Islanders the other game, 1-touch passes, and it gets the defense moving, the goalie's moving, and higher chance of success. One of the reasons I think the Islanders' power play has struggled is even though Barzal is amazing at entering the zone, he kind of just sits on that sidewall and looks for a pass, and they all are so deliberate in one pass after another. So my hot take is, do you think Barzal is actually a detriment to the Islanders' power play and they should change things up? Or do you think it's something else that's causing their power play to be, at the bottom of the league year after year after year? Thanks, guys.
Good question. I feel like this has come up.
It has.
Because Ariel has mentioned this, right, about like moving Barzal maybe into the bumper. It's kind of like, I think of the Knicks and like how Melo just slowed down their offense because Melo would ISO guys and take them one-on-one and kind of keep everyone else standing still. But like Barzal, you're not taking him off the power play. Like that's just not realistic.
I think the solution is it's kind of time. Like after this season, we can sort of say like the power play will run through Mathew Schaefer from probably next season on. Like I don't think he defers a lot now either, but he's going to be the one that's going to be quarterbacking, that's going to be running things, they're going to draw plays where he's got the puck. He's the one sort of making people move. And right now, and in kind of recent history, it's been Barzal. And whether that's the plan or not, I don't really know. I haven't asked all their previous assistants or their head coaches about it. But, and Barzal has a little bit of that unpredictability to him that I think for them to be successful, you need a little bit more structure. You need a little bit more simplicity. And I think there's other factors. I think Kyle Palmieri missing off that power play one, he's a guy who causes a lot of chaos down low. They don't really have that. They don't have kind of the trigger man on the opposite wall. They had Brock Nelson for the last few years, who's got that shot. They didn't really have that guy. But to me, the change that will kind of force Mathew Barzal to be a more constructive power play guy is that Mathew Schaefer is going to run things. That to me is, whether it's coaching, whether it's whatever, Mathew Schaefer is going to have the puck more than anybody else if he doesn't already. So I feel like instead of everybody adjusting to kind of what Barzal wants to do, it's going to be everybody adjusting to what Schaefer wants to do. And Schaefer is an offensive machine. He is a guy who gets his shot through. He moves well. So I feel like, for Barzal, it's going to have to be a little bit of understanding that he's playing second fiddle. I think it'll open up a lot more for him, but I think it's just time and letting this kid kind of understand that, add this to all the other great things that he does and pile it on and see where it goes. So I think that's kind of the main solution I see, because it has been a long time since they've really been any good on the power play, and it's kind of inexplicable.
If it ends up, which it should, eventually changing the way they like to kind of format things and go with Schaefer getting more of the touches and running things, Matt Barzal's going to have to shoot the puck way more than. It's not going to work until he starts shooting the puck more. And so, I mean, it's just to Johnny's point, that guy, you're putting him on the power play. I just find that they're too predictable when I watch them. Like that play, and we just saw it work really well yesterday, just down to Richie, bump to space, and then Horvat jump in the hole and take that shot. Like that's all I look for when I'm watching them on their power play. Like it's always just lob one in there to Horvat, go goal line, bump out to Horvat. Like nothing else feels like much of a threat. So I think that's the biggest thing, is to be less predictable for the opponent. It's such a hard line to walk, because you don't want to be predictable, I should say, for the opponent, but you have to be predictable for one another.
Yeah.
And you're like, how does that make sense? Like they watch clips, they watch videos. Well, you have certain factors that you stick to, your automatic outs, all those different things, but you can't be that predictable. It's going to make it too easy on the PK, and I think that's what they do.
They kind of need a right-handed shooting threat on that offside flank where Barzal is now, because Barzal kind of strikes me as, how Jack Hughes plays his strong side flank. He climbs up the wall and attacks downhill. He catches it on his forehand. Like that's kind of the player Barzal is, right? Like we've seen it with Panarin, where Mika's the one-time threat, but it runs through Panarin, right? Panarin is the one attacking downhill. Schaefer can, walk middle, kick it out to Barzal on his strong side, and then Barzal can walk down and kind of make things happen. But there's no right-handed shooting threat on the offside flank. So like their power play would probably flow much better if they had that righty that would rip the puck. Because then you still have.
How was their power play in Dobson's big year? How was that power play? Do you remember, Arthur?
Really good. Really good. I mean, I don't think it. I don't think he could. Yeah, I don't know. No, I mean,
I feel like they
Thursday
did that
night?
like, behind the back. I feel like Barzal would walk down and like go behind the back, and Dobson like hammer a one-timer. You know, when the D could step into one.
Yeah.
Like that's a great play in the power play.
Dobson was a 10-goal guy that year. It was a lot of secondary assists. It was a very Adam Fox type stat line for him. But I think
That's
having
bullshit.
Nelson there,
That's
having
bullshit,
Palmieri,
Don't ever
taking
put those
Adam
two in the
Fox.
same category.
Foxy just out here catching strays.
10, 60, 70 is, that's what Adam Fox puts up in his sleep. That's all I'm saying.
I think Fox actually had that last year. That exact stat line, I'm pretty sure.
and special teams can just be voodoo too. You can go from 15% one year to 22 the next year, and you didn't change your personnel, you didn't change the coach. They figured out how to score goals, and that it just works. The same way the penalty kill can outwork teams and be 86% one year, and the next year every shot goes off a guy's shin pad and goes in, and you're fucking 73%. So I don't think they changed a ton that year. I think it just found something that worked, and it worked well.
You need to have a shooter. You need to have a shooter, and that shooter cannot be the bumper guy, because that takes some maneuvering to get the puck to him. If you have a shooter in one of the three spots on the outside, that's where I think that you're cooking with gas.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got time for one more, probably, if we can get to one more voicemail here. If that's cool. Is that good, Arthur?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. This is from Joey.
Oh, baby. What do we got? We got Joey from Hicksville calling. But let me tell you something right now. I am all in on my New York Islanders. Let's go. Can you believe this? We got Braden Schenn now? What's going on? Yeah, everyone's talking about this deal. Oh, it's $6.5 million. And it's going to kill the team. And this and that. This guy brings so much. All the intangibles and the blah, blah, blahs that you can't measure. Okay? This guy's the real deal. We love Braden Schenn. We're glad he's here. $6.5 million is nothing. It's pocket change. I got that. You need what? You need money? Just say you're broke. Okay? All right. But really, my thing here, I love the job that Darche has done with this team. The prospect pool, think about it. Look at where we are. We got all these prospects. Everyone's talking about we can trade this for this guy and this for that guy. Keep the kids. Why not keep the kids? What do you guys think? I think I see this prospect pool. You got Dmitry Gamzin, you got Xavier Veilleux, you got Daniil Prokhorov, Cole Eiserman, all these kids. It's a deep pool. Keep them. Why? What am I crazy? Am I crazy? Tell me out here. Am I crazy, guys? All right, that's it. Thanks.
So
I just gotta say,
Jersey.
after you. Two things. That guy.
We're probably thinking the same thing here.
With Jersey John, for sure. That's like the Islanders' version of Jersey John. And two, never in a million years would I have thought he would have gotten all those pronunciations right at the end, the way that he started off. So good job, Joey.
I'll let you answer this one. I'll be quick. This is literally why we do these fucking voicemails for like to hear the accents, to hear I live for these moments, so thank you.
I would love to declare we have Jersey John, now we have Long Island Joey. Like that I'd love for a weekly Long Island Joey. That was unbelievable. And the Xavier Veilleux shout out, he's an Islanders prospect that doesn't get talked about. Won the Clark Cup last year in Muskegon. He's a defenseman for Cornell this year. Did one of his games at Princeton 2 weeks ago. He's a stud, top pair D for Cornell. Really strong skater. Just good, solid all around defenseman. But who's the other guy? Is it Romano? That sixth skater. What's his name? Arthur?
Luca Romano. Yeah,
he is. That kid's unreal. What's he doing this year? That's a kid I can't wait to see. Hopefully, gets to the NHL. He's a sixth skater. That kid can fly.
Yeah, he's been good, and Joey bringing up Dmitry Gamzin, who's basically on the Ilya Sorokin path. He's one of the top goalies in the KHL for CSKA Moscow, and he's signed, I think, for another 2 or 3 years. But that's a space where you're like, all right, that's perfect, because kind of like the Lundqvist Shesterkin thing, you want the guy to be ready to come over and be a little more mature at 23, 24, right as Sorokin is maybe hitting that age 33, 34, where you're ready to try to find a new option. So yes, good job by Joey to point out all the prospects. Totally true. But again, kind of going back to the first couple, it's nice that all our callers are not calling in saying, what the fuck is Darche doing? We hate this guy. We're getting all the positive feedback. So there's definitely a lot of fans out there who like what Darche is doing, who like the kind of surgical moves. And again, we can have all the concerns. And I feel like Joey bringing up those guys like Veilleux, like Gamzin, like Daniil Prokhorov, their big second round pick who's bounced between the KHL and the minor league over there in Russia. You've got some depth to that prospect pool now. If there's a deal that comes along where you've got to include Keishon Aitchison or Victor Eklund, because you're going to get back, I can't even like bring a name out of the ether to throw in there. Yeah. You're gonna get a 20-something guy who's put up 35 goals in the league every year that he's been in it. Then you can do it, because I think they've got the depth to be able to kind of compensate for it. But I think the way that Mathew Darche approaches deadline, the way he's been talking, I don't know that that's the sort of plan that they have going into this offseason. But like we saw with them this year, plans sure change.
Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts before we wrap up today's show? Great voicemails all around. Devils fans, step your shit up though. Devils fans are giving up. But again, just a reminder: no show on Friday this week. We'll be back at it next week. So sorry, apologize for that, but suck it. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. I feel bad saying that now. I apologize. Don't suck it.
I didn't know what to say. So I went with these.
I didn't know what to say. Right. I didn't know what to say, so I'm going to tell all the fans out there to eat it. But that's fine.
You know what?
Please come back and watch
my brain off hockey
John
a little bit. Yeah, I've been
Johnny.
going at it from the start. I need a vacation. I'm excited for it. But we love you guys. I love you guys. And as always, we love our presenting sponsor, Novig, the future of sports betting. On Novig, you play against other real users, not the house. And it's the only commission-free exchange, so you keep every dollar you win. You'll get better odds than traditional sportsbooks, meaning you're 10 times more likely to win in the long run. Choose the best odds or offer your own. Trade Novig coins for fun or Novig cash to win real prizes. Sign up with code DailyFaceoff in all caps. So you have $50 in Novig coins when you spend $5 on your first purchase. Available in most states. You must be 21 or older to play, with no purchase necessary. Big thanks to everyone who called. Big thanks to the two of you and our producer, Vic. Love you guys, and we will talk to you next week. Hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see some more Tri-State hockey content, don't forget to leave a like and comment on the video below, and also subscribe to the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel.